Hey, welcome. In this walk, we have taken a look at the very different way that God communicates with us, different from every other sound and every other noise in our world. We've talked about how He speaks with us through the movement of the Holy Spirit. He speaks to us through the scriptures of the Bible, and He even speaks to us through His nature and revealing Himself that way. We've talked about how hearing Him requires us to do some different things. We have to listen differently since He speaks differently. But the one thing we haven't really touched on yet is just why God does it this way. Why does God speak differently than all of the other sounds and voices in our world? When Jesus first started calling people to follow Him, history shows us that He communicated very conventionally. But then there was a moment where He made a change, where He started talking to His followers, both then and now, with a different manner. He started using something called parables, which are stories. Those parables got written down in the Bible so that you and I, even today, could still discover them and hear what they have to say to us. Now, when Jesus started this approach 2,000 years ago, His disciples were confused by it. They actually approached Him and said, "Why are you doing this, Jesus?" The disciples came up and asked, "Why do you tell stories?" He replied, "You've been given insight into God's kingdom. You guys know how it works. Not everybody has this gift, this insight. It hasn't been given to them. Whenever somebody has a ready heart for this, the insights and the understandings flow freely. But if there's no readiness, any trace or receptivity soon disappears. That's why I tell stories, to create readiness, to nudge the people toward receptive insight. In their present state, they can stare till doomsday and not see it. Listen till they're blue in the face and not get it." Two things leap out from that verse. First, that Jesus totally gets how this world works. God understands just how much noise we have to deal with on a daily basis, and He realizes how that volume, both in sound and in just quantity, has dulled our ability to take those noises and distinguish the important stuff from the fluff. So He moved to a different methodology that when He uses it with us, it will ultimately lead us to a clarity that's far greater than if He stood before us and lectured us like a professor in college. The second thing that comes out of that verse is that communicating with us in that way is harder for you and I to understand. And that is not unfortunate or unintended. It is by design. There used to be an old sketch on Saturday Night Live where these two European bodybuilders named Hans and Franz used a catchphrase that went like this: "Hear me now, listen to me later." The play on words illustrated that there is a difference between being able to just hear something and being able to listen and discern that there is a greater meaning taking place. Jesus actually uses deafening silence intentionally. He said it is about creating a desire within us to really understand, to nudge us toward receptivity. Personally, I've had to take that information, take all of the stuff that we've talked about on this walk, really take it to heart. I have gotten frustrated many times over the course of my life that God won't speak back to me audibly, that God won't put up big billboards to let me know what He wants me to do with my life or what I could do to make my life better. When I have pondered all of this stuff that we've looked at, and I look at the fact that I cry out to God and there's just audible silence coming back, what I've begun to discover is that the silence is an audible response from God. It is a very loud statement to me that I need to be still, that I need to open up my Bible and read it, and that then I need to to take the information that I have seen, the information that I have digested, and figure out what God is saying to me and what He wants me to do. That's the pattern for us. He has been calling our name all along. He says to you and me on a daily basis, I know you, and I know where you need to go. Let's do it together. What do you say? Let's go.